year is 1763. The 7 Years' War, a global conflict that engulfed Europe, Asia, and North America, has just concluded. But on the vast, untamed frontier of the Ohio Valley, a new war is brewing. A war born of broken promises, clashing empires, and the desperate struggle for a continent. For years, Britain and France had battled for supremacy in North America. The French and Indian War, as it was known in the colonies, saw Native American tribes align with both sides, drawn into a conflict not of their making. The British victory, sealed by the Treaty of Paris, reshaped the map of the continent. France ceded its vast territories east of the Mississippi, including the strategically vital Ohio Valley. At the forks of the Ohio, where the Monongahela and Allegheny rivers meet, the French had built Fort Duquesne, a symbol of their control. But in 1758, facing a powerful British expedition led by General John Forbes, the French retreated, destroying their fort rather than let it fall into enemy hands. On its ashes, the British erected a new, even more imposing stronghold, Fort Pitt. A bastion of British power, it was designed to control the gateway to the west. The British victory, however, did not bring peace. The Native American tribes of the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, many of whom had been allies of the French, grew increasingly resentful of British policies. General Jeffrey Amherst, the British commander-in-chief, treated them with disdain, restricting trade, and ending the traditional practice of gift-giving. He viewed them as conquered peoples, not allies. This sparked a powerful resistance movement, a widespread uprising known as Pontiac's War. Inspired by the spiritual teachings of Neolin, the Delaware prophet, who called for a return to traditional ways and resistance against European influence, many tribes united. Led by the charismatic Ottawa chief, Pontiac, and the influential Seneca leader, Gayasuda, a coalition of tribes launched a series of coordinated attacks on British forts and settlements across the frontier. Fort Pitt, the linchpin of British control in the Ohio Valley, became a prime target. On June 22, 1763, the siege began. Native American forces, skilled in forest warfare, surrounded Fort Pitt, cutting it off from supplies and reinforcements. Inside, Captain Simeon Acquire, a Swiss officer in British service, commanded a garrison of soldiers, militia, and terrified settlers who had fled the surrounding countryside. The siege was a grueling test of endurance. As the siege dragged on, a dark chapter in the history of colonial warfare unfolded. Desperate to break the stalemate, British officers, including William Trent and Captain Acquire, resorted to a horrifying tactic. They presented gifts to 2 Delaware emissaries, blankets and a handkerchief from the fort's smallpox hospital. The intent was clear: to spread the deadly disease among the Native American forces. The letters and journals of the time leave no doubt about the intent. William Trent's journal explicitly mentions the exchange. While we can't be certain how widespread the resulting outbreak was, the act itself represents a profound betrayal of trust and a chilling example of biological warfare. It's important to remember that smallpox was already present in the region. However, the deliberate attempt to weaponize the disease is a significant ethical breach, and it highlights the desperation of the situation at Fort Pitt. The fate of Fort Pitt, and perhaps the entire Ohio Valley, hung in the balance, but a relief force was on its way. Colonel Henry Bouquet, a skilled and experienced British officer, marched westward with a column of troops. In early August, near a place called Bushy Run, Bouquet's forces clashed with a large Native American force determined to stop them. The Battle of Bushy Run was a fierce and bloody encounter. Bouquet's troops, though outnumbered, used disciplined tactics and superior firepower to withstand repeated attacks. After 2 days of intense fighting, the Native American forces were forced to withdraw. The road to Fort Pitt was open. On August 10, 1763, Colonel Bouquet and his weary troops reached Fort Pitt, ending the siege. The fort had held, but the wider conflict of Pontiac's War was far from over. In an attempt to quell the unrest and prevent further bloodshed, the British government issued the Royal Proclamation of 1763. This proclamation established a boundary line along the Appalachian Mountains, forbidding colonial settlement west of the line. It was a direct response to Pontiac's War, an attempt to appease the Native American tribes. But the proclamation angered many colonists who had fought in the French and Indian War and believed they had earned the right to settle the newly acquired lands. This resentment, combined with the growing burden of taxes imposed by the British government to pay for the war, sowed the seeds of discontent that would ultimately blossom into the American Revolution. The siege of Fort Pitt, a pivotal moment in Pontiac's war, stands as a stark reminder of the complex and often brutal realities of colonial conflict. It was a clash of empires, a struggle for land and resources, and a testament to the resilience and resistance of the Native American peoples. The events at Fort Pitt and the wider conflict of Pontiac's War left an indelible mark on the history of North America, shaping the relationship between Native Americans and European settlers for generations to come. The broken promises, the acts of desperation, and the struggle for control of the Ohio Valley echo even today, a reminder of a turbulent past that continues to shape the present. The 7 Years' War had profound and lasting effects. The 7 Years' War made Britain the dominant global power and created a shift in the balance of power in Europe. Prussia became a major power. The war, a global conflict, was not confined to North America. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 saw the British East India Company secure its foothold, marking a shift in Indian history. In Europe, the Battle of Rossbach saw Frederick the Great display his military prowess. The capture of Quebec in 1759 swung the balance of the war. The Treaty of Paris, the outcome of the war, gave Great Britain control of Canada. The war shaped nations and empires far beyond the American frontier,